he saith unto them, Follow me, and I will make you fishers of men. Matthew 4:19. The Amazon peacock bass is pound for pound the hardest hitting and fighting freshwater game fish on earth. Their topwater lure-smashing strikes have become legendary in the angling community, and thousands of fishermen travel each year to challenge this exciting game fish. Through the Nehemiah Network's Fishin mission, we traveled to the Amazon region during the prime fishing season to join the ministry efforts of the Word of Life River Ministry team. We also hunted alligators, technically caiman, as we experienced firsthand the ministry of Rick and Kim Parker ministering in the river communities along the Amazon River. Rick and Kim Parker have been ministering in Brazil on the Amazon River for over 20 years. Our fishing guides were the Parkers and some indigenous people from the village communities where the Parkers have ongoing ministries of evangelism and discipleship. Our ministry team was an encouragement to the Parkers River Ministry, and we were able to see firsthand their ministry in these river communities. We took supplies to the missionaries that are living in the villages. This trip was a great opportunity to see firsthand of God's grace and Him using the Parkers to reach these river communities for the sake of Christ. One of the projects we worked on was building a septic tank for one of the missionary homes. We delivered the supply of bricks and used them to build the needed septic system.
This will be fish for the village for probably 2 days or 3 days worth of eating.
2 to 3 days worth of food for the village. We distributed the fish we caught to many villages along the river. This was an awesome tool to help the needy villages. High waters this year displaced most of the river communities out of their homes for more than 3 months. Water height was higher than it had been in over 100 years, which created challenges for many of the villages who rely on fish to survive. There are more than 33,000 river communities, and 30,000 of those communities are unevangelized. Through the Parkers, Word of Life is ministering in over 70 river communities. This trip allowed us to see this unique and exciting ministry firsthand. Our goals are to help Rick and Kim raise the needed funds to build 2 more missionary homes in strategic river communities. The cost to build a missionary home is around $5,000. Another $5,000 is also needed to purchase a boat and motor and other startup supplies for the missionaries in these communities. Currently, there is a need to build 2 homes for 2 missionary couples to plant them in these river communities. We would also like to help Rick and Kim raise $5,000 to build a church in one of these river communities where they are ministering. Please consider helping us raise the needed monies for these projects. Sineji's story. Let no man despise thy youth, but be thou an example of the believers in word, in conversation, in charity, in spirit, in faith, and in purity. 1 Timothy 4:12. Sineji lives in Pashuba, a very primitive and remote village on the Pineapple River. Most of the village's men were heavy drinkers and took poor care of their families. They beat their wives, their kids ran around naked, dirty, and often sick. There were no morals at all. Francisco, Sineji's father, sold whiskey out of his house. Sineji watched in horror as her father sold her older sisters as prostitutes to the fishermen. When Sineji was 13, she accepted Christ as her Savior. She was the first person in her village to become a Christian. It was very difficult for her to live for Christ. Through her persistent testimony, one by one, her family began to follow Jesus. Even her father, Francisco, made a decision to follow Christ, which radically changed his life. Using the Bible, Sineji learned to read and write. She began doing Bible studies with other families. Today, Pashuba can hardly be recognized by those who knew it from before. The houses have all been rebuilt, the children are clothed, and in the center of the village, surrounded by flower gardens, is the church where almost everyone in the entire village gathers at least 4 times a week to worship God. Sineji's father, Francisco, is the leader of the church. Sineji starts her day at 5:30 a.m., going from house to house, having devotions with each family of the village. Twice a month, she takes the young people of the church to neighboring communities and is spreading God's word up and down the Pineapple River. Sergio and Laura are a mission couple who are now living in the village, discipling Christians and training leaders. Sineji wants to go to Bible school and work as a missionary to river people.
At this village here, there was nobody saved. We had been coming here for several years and nobody had accepted Christ. Finally, on this one trip at a kids program, the little boy who was 8 years old, his name was João, he accepted Christ. And then we went on down the river, and we had gone down the river probably 2 days earlier because we stopped in different villages, spend a day in each village. And when we got way down the river, all of a sudden a canoe from here caught up with us. They said, "Come quick, my grandson got burned. What happened is he slept in that he went to sleep in that kitchen there. He took a gas lantern with him and he set it up, and somehow the gas lantern fell into his hammock and spilled all the kerosene on his hammock and caught his hammock on fire and burned him. Just his whole body was burned up. But he lived for about 2 days. But by the time they caught up with us and we got back here, he had just died. But right before he died, he told the people were all gathered around him, and he said, "Don't worry about me, I'll be going to heaven," because he knew he was on his way out. And so he said, "I hope I'll see you on the streets of gold," because the story when he accepted Christ was about the streets of gold. And so the last thing he said was, "I want to see you on the streets of gold." And
Wow.
so anyway, when we got back here, they were all asking, after we did the funeral, they were all asking, how do we get to know that we're going to see him one day on the streets of gold? And so at his funeral, once I lose and I lose it. At his funeral, the whole village accepted Christ.
Amen. That's awesome. Amen.
Don't hang it, don't hang it. It's still there. Take your shot. Take your shot. Quick. Shoot.
Hit it.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
What's this up?
Get the machete ready.
Where's the machete?
You still rolling?
Yeah. But yeah, Butch, you might want to grab his tail.
No, it's not deep. He can't go low. Cadê o rabo dele? Pega logo o rabo.
Yeah, grab his tail for him. Yeah, set the gun down. Set the gun down. Grab his tail for him. There you go. Yeah.
Just wait one second. Oh, aqui dentro. Perde a espinha aí. Deixa eu dar uma resinha aí. Segura aí que eu vou dar uma retaca.
Be careful, that guy's not dead.
Pra lá, porque aqui tá cheio de muito.
He's pretty big.
Lower your head.
Watch out, backing out. That dude's not dead by a long shot. Yeah, just be careful. He's not gone yet.
Go ahead.
He's about to be though.
Don't you love that when you hit that nerve?
Yeah. Just hang on tight, boys. Hey, Butch, smile for the camera.
Yeah.
Okay.
Here, turn that light off on the gun. Oh, let's go. That's a big lake.
Yeah.
Did we catch one over here?
This morning.
Like you're before we caught over there.
You notice how we caught it? We caught Butch's? Yes, we did. That's exactly how that went.
Esse é o grupo de pescadores. Tinha que ver a quantidade de iscas que eles trouxeram pra
Muita,
pegar.
ótimo. Olha lá. Amazonas é assim.
É.
Todos, são todos dos
Estados Unidos.
Estados Unidos. Aqui o Amazonas é bom demais, pode explicar para eles aí. Aqui
He
é.
said, "You're in paradise now." He's really proud of being here.
Aí os peixes.
O Butch, lembra dele? Ele já esteve aqui. Ele estava aqui com um grupo de médicos.
Você viu as mesas que eu fiz aí para dentro ali?
Ah, você que fez?
Bom, aí olha por causa do seminário, né?
Ah, sim.
Aí conta só de onda, olha, ficar bonitinho, né? Mais largo.
Mas essa de cavaleiro?
This village, Rick?
Vila Bacaxis, which means pineapple.
Vila Bacaxis, which means pineapple.
Pineapple Village,
Pineapple Village.
and I haven't seen a pineapple.
Aí ele arregaça aqui. Pode meter ele.
Wouldn't surprise me if they don't have one of those.
Vila Bacaxis.
Aí você vai comprar um original, você sabe quanto é? 27 reais. Mas é original.
The termites?
É original. Coisa boa.
Hey Rick,
My grandfather.
is that a termite nest?
Oh, take a look at this tree. This is a parasite. See, the original tree is that palm tree.
Okay, yeah.
And then this tree swallowing it, and it'll go all the way up until it chokes it. So
Wow.
it'll engulf the whole tree. The parasite isn't strong enough to support itself. You can see that's the real tree there.
Yeah.
And it'll just keep wrapping itself around. Just inaugurated probably 3 months ago.
And this is the clinic, and who mans this? And
Right. We are in partnership with the government. The government said that they would build the building if we would staff it and equip it. So it's kind of a partnership that we have with the government to provide medical care in this area here.
and this is the location for the hospital here to your backside,
Right.
future location.
So the future hospital will be in this area here.
And what are you looking for staffing or for other
We're
missionaries?
hoping to get a couple medical doctors that are willing to live here, and a dentist, and a few nurses. The nurses we have, what we're really needing are a few medical doctors and a dentist to staff the hospital.
De cercar isso, de não comer. Eu estava dizendo para o Alex, eu acho que se tivesse um incentivo assim, pagar só a diária.
Oh, they're making farinha, something you'll be eating a lot of.
Oh, okay. Is that the root?
Yeah.
They're making farinha.
That stuff that we ate at the restaurant?
Yes. This is a typical Brazilian village home. Very modest, very simple.
Leading a lot in the church and stuff. One of our most active Christians. He's Jadeo's son. And he even speaks English.
Awful quiet.
Welcome them to your village. É, dá boas-vindas para eles.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Pergunto como eles estão.
How are you?
Great.
Muy bien.
How are you?
Good. Thank
Good.
Eu não sei não.
And you? How are you?
Okay, good.
Good.
Okay. I am fine.
Tell them
Thank
your
you.
name.
Peraí. What's your name?
Eu falei para dizer o seu nome para eles primeiro.
My name is Renan. I am brothers in Christ of you. And, it's pleased to meet you.
Very good.
Very good.
Oh, have you guys heard of us acai?
I saw you. We had the ice cream.
Okay, so that's the berries.
the
They're
berry?
getting ready to see these trees right here
Okay.
are acai.
Now, can you eat them just like that?
You can, but it's not. You're not gonna like it. So you can. You don't chew it. there's a little bit of purple on the outside, and but it tastes a little bit like a blueberry.
Okay.
But if you want to try one, don't get a green one, get a real dark one.
Okay, and you just eat the outside? Does it have a pit in it?
Yeah, I mean, it's all hard,
Uh-huh.
and you just chew it and you'll get the flavor. Excuse me, get the flavor out of it just by chewing it and sucking the outside, but
Now, Rick, what will
you
they
won't get much out of it at all.
what will they do this for? For selling to
No,
the market,
they'll
or is this
drink it.
for their own purpose?
Yeah, it's for their own consumption.
Now, where do they go?
Hmm?
Do they crush them? Do they?
What you do is they'll soak them to get them softer.
Okay.
Then they'll put them into like a bucket. Then they'll take a glass bottle and they'll just mash it.
Like
It doesn't mash up, but it beats all of the flavor off of the seeds.
Okay.
And then they strain it and drink it. $40 a liter or a quart of that in the U.S.
Oh, look at that.
Getting that right under it. Getting that right under it. Get it right under it. Perfecto. Woohoo!
Celebrate that with a little toot. Oh, I had it rolling too.
Peacock on, boys.
Peacock!
Peacock on. See?
Good luck, guys. Slay 'em. Catch a trophy on that high roller.
Bring back fish. That's the one.
Bring back fish. Don't come back without fish.
Heading out for the
The
peacock.
first time. Peacock. There they are. There's the fish slayers. The boys are already trolling. Recording now.
Put it in his mouth. Now grab it above those bars.
Get it to it's peeing.
Nice.
Get it to snap down on its mouth.
Is that a picture or video you're taking?
Video. Piranha.
He probably runs.
Yeah, he's kind of getting dead. I guess we'll just put it back in.
I don't think he's gonna make it home. Whoever said I wasn't gonna catch nothing on this thing. He's amazing.
Now you can tell us about it.
So we had tracked a couple up in there, and then he got a couple small ones, and then he was getting these small little look like sunfish, and then some looked like brim. But then he saw this one and went after it, and because it was and it was gone. We waited, and then we left. We went down, and then we went back. And we just stood. He just stood there in the dark, waiting and listening, and it didn't show up. So he kept hitting the light every now and then, waiting, and so we left again, and we fished down, and we caught some other small fish, different kinds of fish, and then went back for a last chance because he thought it was somewhere between 15 to 17 pounds, what it looked like in the water. And he went back to it, and back to the spot, you know, because they're territorial. And I mean, we no more had gotten there. Bam! And it just took off with the spear, and went over this way and stopped. So we went over that way, hit it, and he went for the spear again, and it just, I mean, it was just amazing. It just went back up into the bushes and stuff, and finally he got it again because the spear never came out, and he actually held it down and put his hand up under it and picked it up into the boat. The fish is this big. I mean, it's huge. It was awesome.
Was he in the boat the whole time or out in the water or something?
No, he was in the boat the whole time this time. He did get out earlier and speared a caiman.
What?
And the caiman got off. It was a little one. Yeah. You know, you hear it grunting. Yeah. It was a good size. I mean, but he went off about 10 yards back up in there, and you could hear when he's stepping. You know how the vegetation just squishes down, and it's so nasty. Yeah. But yeah, he's tricking off up in there, and then he was standing there, and he speared it. It just thrashed around and came off this way. It still had the spear, but then it got off. Yeah. So I was hoping he could put that in the boat. Yeah, I didn't get it though.
Look at the fish. Hey, Dan. Yeah, thanks.
Hey, are you keeping any of the guts for catfish bait?
Ready for more?